Greetings, friends. We're in the midst of the 3 weeks, and we are concerned. All around us, frightening events are occurring. It says in Tehillim and Psalms, Yimotu kol mosdei aretz, all the foundations of the earth collapse. This is happening globally and locally. Last week, there was a terrible collapse in Miami. As I write, there are people trapped under the rubble. Here was an ordinary building. People were living in it and trusting in it. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, it collapsed. Our daughter, Yafa, reminded me that after the events in Meron weeks ago, I wrote the following words. This is a quote. Why is the Redeemer called Mashiach? Mashiach means anointed. As it says, Shmuel took the horn of oil and anointed David in the midst of his brothers, and the Spirit of Hashem passed over David from that day on. The King of Israel is anointed with Shemen Zayis, olive oil. Why olive oil? This is a quote from the Gemara in Menachos. Just as the destiny of the olive tree is fulfilled at its end, so the destiny of the children of Israel is filled at their end. And Rabbi Yochanan said, why are the children of Israel compared to an olive tree? To tell you that just as the olive tree does not release its oil, except when its fruit undergoes crushing, so Israel as well will not return to the right path, except through crushing. At this moment, we are all crushed. I've often wondered why our morning prayers begin with the Akedah. The Akedah is so difficult to understand. How can we relate to this? Avraham Avinu, our father Abraham, was about to make his son into a korban, a sacrifice. This is something we cannot imagine. How can the Akedah be the cornerstone of our existence? How could it be placed at the very beginning of our daily communication with Hashem when it is something to which it is almost impossible to relate? I had a thought about this, and suddenly it began to make sense. What did Avram Avinu do at the Akedah? He went against everything he desired and believed in. He completely broke himself and everything he stood for to follow the Ratzon, the will of Hashem. Our father Abraham taught us that when it comes to our desires and our agenda, if we want to serve Hashem, we also have to break our own desires and substitute Hashem's will for our own. The same phenomenon is seen in this week's Parsha, in the actions of Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron a Kohen, who risked his very life to save Am Yisrael. This is the primal lesson for the children of Avraham Avinu. As we see the culture around us collapsing, literally, physically, spiritually, this is the thought that can sustain us. Even though we are tied to this culture as a result of our gullus, we can break away from it. It means uprooting ourselves from everything we're used to, but we can follow the example of our father Avram and Pinchas ben Elazar and attach ourselves to Hashem. How can we apply this concept to our lives? What if I hate someone? Say someone is talking during davening, and I am angry at this person, but I'm not allowed to hate another Jew. The fact is, I can go and speak to this person directly with kindness in a positive way, and this is correct behavior, assuming the person would accept it. But there's something more. Why did I hate him in the first place? Okay, he did something wrong, but did I have to hate him for it? This is a problem with me, not with him. This is the root of sinas chinam, unwarranted hatred between Jew and Jew. This is the sickness that destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, which continues to prevent the Beis HaMikdash, the holy temple, from being rebuilt to this very day. This is what's keeping us in Gullus, in exile. How do we deal with this? I can tell myself he's wrong, but do I have to hate him? This is what we can learn from our father Abraham. We can uproot from our heart that which separates us from Hashem. We can look inside and understand that the quality we hate in our brother is in our own heart. Talking during davening is no good, but if we hate him for it, it's because we have the same sin in us. The disrespect for shul, the disrespect for Torah, the same rebellion against Hashem which caused him to talk during davening, the disrespect for him also. Avraham Avinu was willing to go against something inside himself when he saw that Hashem desired a certain behavior from him. We can try to uproot from ourselves our personal agendas and substitute the will of Hashem. As soon as I realize I hate my brother Jew, then I can start working on myself to cleanse myself of the quality I see in him. Uprooting undesirable qualities from ourselves may be the hardest thing in the world. I remember hearing that Rabbi Yisroel Salanter Zatzal said, the loudest sound in the universe is the sound of a habit being broken. Every night before we go to sleep, we say, quote, Master of the universe, I hereby forgive anyone who angered or antagonized me or who sinned against me. That is how we can fall asleep peacefully and allow our neshama, our soul, to go up to Shemayim, to be refreshed and come back to us in peace the next morning. It all begins with a din v'cheshbon, a spiritual accounting of our true state of mind. We become obsessed with our emotions and desires, but what we really need to do is substitute the agenda of Hashem for our own agenda. The other person is not at fault. I am at fault. He's not the problem. I am the problem. I can control my anger, my obsession, my appetite, my desires, my temper, my selfishness. I can be a follower of Avraham Avinu and Pinchas ben Elazar. This is the road to redemption, the road to Yerushalayim, the road to the Beis HaMikdash and Mashiach. This is the derech, the path that will bring shalom to the world. May we see it soon in our days. Good Shabbos.